A GK Plus user in Kentucky wants some help with setting up a template. I've made a little template for him, but we need to tell GK Plus where to find it. Rather than use any of the templates that are built in, we'll simply go dir, and I've put things into the desktop. So if we go desktop and East Kentucky and templates, I'm now telling GK Plus that when we start a brand new drawing, to start with this template and ignore the built-in ones. So we'll say OK. This little template is aimed at helping this new user get started easily. You'll notice that there's already a layout with the logo in red in the title block. The headings there. All it needs doing with each new job is to edit that block and just change those items that are in red. We've got a default of 1 to 96 on an architectural B size sheet that's closed, and we'll go back to model space. So the idea here is populate the template with a series of simple symbols which you might like to use. Is the double knockout rose. This one here is hydrangea paniculata limelight. So there's a few little symbols there, all organised. And if we zoom in on here, sorry, I'm in model space now, not layout space. And if we want to, the first thing you do in a new job, of course, is to lay out the site. So we're suggesting that you should be able to draw a line, some arbitrary position. It doesn't have to be here. This is just a sample. So we'll start it here, and we'll make sure that polar's on, and we'll head across in this direction. Notice the dotted line going out. That's telling you, it's a clue that you are drawing horizontally, and everything in the US is drawn in decimal feet. So we'll say 14.75 and hit enter. And now I'll exit from there and just do this one line for the moment, 14.75 decimal feet. If we want to reassure ourselves that we are working off, let's say, a mud map, and we want to make sure we're drawing accurately, you can go up and click linear dimension of float, the entity snap toolbar, and we'll say from that point there to that point there, and it comes out at 14.9 inches, which is 14.75 decimal feet. So I can be fairly confident that as we're drawing here, things are working well. We usually separate things by layer, and I can swing this one to layer L dim, and then I can say go to my layers tab, turn off the dimension layer, and we're ready to start working on our new design. So the aim here is just drag these symbols into position. So this one's already tagged to the burning bush, so let's grab it by its midpoint here, and imagine we want part of the garden populated with a number of these. We copy, 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 copy. You can vary things very easily by selecting a symbol, and you could rotate it by eye or scale it. Click in the middle and come to the outside and do that. So now we're putting these in, and they look a bit too regular, so just spin these symbols around and then move on to your next symbol, and we click this one and drag it by its midpoint into here. That one represents an existing tree. So we're able to do our design work populating it nice and easily. So we'll get rid of the sort of dummy information that's there. When we want to see how the drawing would look, just swing to that architectural C size sheet, and you can see it's not quite positioned correctly, and that's because it sits in what's called a floating viewport, and we want to activate that viewport and just reposition things. Can you see I can move that up like so and display on the layout? And maybe I want to select it and deactivate it, and now move that one down a little so the floating viewport sits nicely on the page. So there's working the design up in model space, and there's presenting it in a what's called a floating viewport. If we wanted to generate a plant schedule, let's grab these two here and we'll move those and imagine that they are part of the design as well, and we'll copy this one, pop it over here and around and under that tree, and we'll right click and scale this one. So I hope you can see we're building the design up relatively quickly. If we want to, let's just go back to the sheet. We've got some spare space up here to the left. So if I went in there and said, I need a plant schedule, GCAD Plus plant schedule, just draw a standard schedule, a height of 0.3. Remember that this is in the imperial system, and that's equivalent to a metric height of about 5 millimeters. So we just do indicate, oops, try that again, input text height, or we'll hit enter, and we'll just make a little schedule like so. So there is the new botanical schedule. It's counted for burning bush and for hydrangea and so on. So I hope you can see. So I hope you can see that working with landscape designs where you work from a template drawing helps enormously.